I am now going to show you how to emboss into hot embossing powder using stamps. I recommend you use the red rubber ones. These are both red rubber and they both work fine. It's possible that the grey ones also work, like this one, because it's again a vulcanized rubber, but I would be wary of trying it with anything like the clear cling stamps, just in case they are not heat resistant. I've not tried it with those stamps, and I don't think I'm about to until I see somebody else do it, because all my stamps are quite precious to me and I don't want to destroy them. Now I will be using penny copper, which is an embossing powder. It's not a high detail one, but it's not a particularly large grain one either. It's sort of medium, so it works quite well with that. I've also used fine detail one, but I haven't used a coarser one. This is a coarser one. It's a, what's it called? Just a moment, let's have a look. It just says embossing powder, but you can see that it's quite a big grain size compared with this. It may work, it may not. I'll have to try that one another time, but this time I'm using this Stamp and Stuff, which is quite an old one. But any detail one would definitely work. This one is Paper Mania. This one, it may or may not work. I'll have to see. Okay, we'll see how this goes on. Thank you. Okay, so here I am doing the embossing. No, I'm not. Hang on. Yes, I am. Here we are. Now, I've put embossing powder on one of these and one of these. That's an inch, that's a 2-inch, so that's an inchy and 2 inchy. So, it's simply because I've been using them before. I am now going to take that out of the pile, shake that off, and then do the same with this one. Now I might need to do this a couple of times, so we'll remove these from the paper. This is just paper, that's card. But the thicker the card, the better, really. I'm only doing this as a test to see how it works out, because it's an awful long time, maybe 30 years, since I last did this. And that's a long time. I'm always messy with the powder. That's the only thing about the powder. It was never all that clean. Right, so we've got the most of it back in there. Now I'll need to do a few layers, so I shouldn't have put that on. Here we go. I'm going to do a few layers, heat it. I'll need something a bit bigger than that. Now I've got a load of what do you call them? Palette knives somewhere. It was right in front of me. There we are. There's one. There's the other. Now I'm going to heat these up. I'll need a piece of one of these. It helps if you turn on your heat gun. I haven't even plugged it in. Well, there we go. Try to do things on the fly, innit? So one layer is never enough. I haven't done that one at all yet, so let's see how this goes. Yeah, I have to just keep reheating. Now I may need what, 3, maybe 4 layers? Don't know, we'll see. I'll try this one. That's not going to work, is it? No, it's not going to work. so it's going to be easier to hold it to the paper. So pour it back in, it's always easier. Discovered I got 2 sheets there. Right. Now I didn't heat that corner enough, so I need to add a bit more in that corner. But the point is to get enough depth so that when you plunge your text into it, whatever you're using, which I have a few here to try, then you get enough depth to actually make an impression. Okay. If you find that it gets too cool and it's not working, then you can re-stamp with your Versamark, and that should help. But it's best to put it in hot, into the hot embossing powder, like that. That's not bad, I've got better coverage there now. I think I will have 2 sheets, you know, because then if anything falls, it's got something to fall on. I found, there's something else I'm remembering from 30 years back, that it helps if you've got a little V in your paper. Right, once more. Now I'm doing the big one first, I'll do the other one in a moment. Now, you may have noticed some bubbles here. What I'm aiming for is a smooth surface. So, I'm going to keep going until I get a smooth surface, or at least until I've got, this is the 4th layer. 4th? 5th? 4th. Yeah. And the other thing you need to do, if this is the one I'm going to do, it doesn't matter if it doesn't work, but if this is the one I'm going to do, then I'm going to, oh, wrong side, I'm going to stamp up my stamp ready. So that means making a flipping decision as to which stamp I'm going to use. So, I have some choices. I've got this text here. I have no idea what language it is. It looks a little bit like Greek. It might be something else. I don't think it is Greek. I think it's one of the it might be Arabic. Yes, it looks a bit Arabic to me, or Jewish, a little bit like the Jewish writing. I don't know, so I'm sorry. And I've got, as I say, the hearts. I'm not sure about that, but I've got another heart one, which is over. Where is it? Oh, over here. This one. Now this is not red rubber, but it's of a similar feeling quality, so I think I might be alright with it, but it's a bit of a risk. So yes, I think the best thing I will do is to have a go. It's a bit, also a bit small, the text on here won't show up so well. So I think I'll try with something else. I think I'll either go with that, because that's easy to read, so we'll see whether it's worked or not. Whether it will all fit in there, it will, so possibly. And I might do it randomly, diagonally, I mean. Maybe. Or I might do one of these block stamp ones. If you just want a background impression, something like this text might work. But then again, no, I don't think it will, because it's the reversed one, isn't it? You stamp the black. No, that won't work so well. It's got to be something that's small enough to show up on here, but big enough to actually stamp. So I think it's more likely to be the, yes, I think it's more likely to be something like these hearts. So I might go with the hearts. I think I'll go with the hearts. There we go, a decision made. Oh, that makes a change. Right, so what I've got to do is get my ink ready. I think I'm going to use the black, because that's the one I've used most often, and it's the one that's worked most often that I remember. You know, I mean, maybe I don't think we even had a purple. I certainly didn't. I only had a black at the time, so it might not be that the purple may work, and then again it might not. Sorry. So ink up the stamp, because I'm not sure which area I'm going to stamp. Probably the centre. And make quite sure I've got a decent lot of ink on it. And I may redo that just before going in with it. But I think that's about ready. Looks okay to me. I mean, I might get a corner in. I might not. So, ready. Go. I think that's good and molten. It's certainly swimming about as if it's molten. So, stamp straight down, aim right. Now it doesn't matter if it sticks to this, because, well, up to now it's always peeled off. Well, we'll see. Oh, that's not bad at all. Look at that. Look at that. That is pretty cool. Well, there you go. It still works. Fabuloso. So if I want to do this little one, I've got to do the same thing again. Build up, and then decide what you're going to stamp with. I think this time I might go for one of these, because it's just the right size for one of these little stamps. I think that's a good idea. That's a nice one. It's got a lot of detail in it. And that one's got a butterfly. But I think I'll go with that one. This one here. It's not my sort of thing, but it's a good pattern. Just to see if it works. Okay. Let's give it a go. We'll get this one out of the way. I really like that. That's good. So you don't need to press with quite so much force. I mean, these ones came out really good. These didn't come out quite so well. But I like it all. I do. I like it all. You could redo it. But the thing about that is you've got to be so accurate. Otherwise you lose the impression. You get a double shadow like you would with other stamping. So you need to do it once and stop. But if you've stamped and you didn't use ink, you can stamp without using ink and then use another method of rubbing ink or wax over the top. That's possible. If you had done that and not put the wax on, then you could re-stamp and reheat it, because that just melts it completely and your impression's gone. But with the ink there, it's just going to smudge it. So don't do that. Right. It moves when you get the heat gun at the side. That's the trouble. You don't want to do that. I'm sorry, I'm a bit OCD about clearing up and getting the last drop, because it's so difficult sometimes to get crafts supplies. So I'm somewhat inclined to make sure I get every last drop back into the bottle and things like that. Back, another layer. What is that, 3 or 4, that one? I think it's 3. I am trying to fill in the little holes. I can possibly manage it. Drat. Here we go, pick it up off the floor. Hope that I haven't got any hairs on it, which I probably have. No, I don't think I did. There we go. It's this thing. I didn't have this thing. Oh, sorry. I think that's probably 4. I want to get more copper embossing powder. I did once have an extra fine copper embossing powder. It was gorgeous. Really good. That also makes a difference to what you're stamping into it with. It's not just the fineness of the stamp, it's also the fineness of the powder makes the difference. I don't know why, because once it's melted, you wouldn't think it would make any difference. Now I think that is my last one for that. I could be wrong, but I'm going to try that one, aren't I? So we'll move that over there and give this its little inking. I'll tell you what, just to be different, let's try the other ink. Let's try the purple, just to see if it does. That would be different, wouldn't it? And it's that one there. Okay. Right, last one. Here we go. Let's see what happens. It's good and warm. Let's try it. I'm not pushing very hard, I'm just going to leave it to sit there for a minute. As it cools, it sets. And it's slightly wonky, but that's my positioning. But let's see what's happened. Oh, wow. Isn't that good? Look at that. Let's get a light further up. There you go. Isn't that nice? That is not bad at all. Is that as good as I can get it for you to see? So we've now got that one and that one, and they're pretty good. I like them. That would make great inchies and twinchies, wouldn't they? There we are. So that's how you stamp into embossing powder. Okay. Okay, now this is an example of how you can use this technique. Now this one, as you will see, is a star, and you can see, if I tilt it, that it's a thin layer of embossing on grey board. It's quite a thick piece of grey board, you can see that, can't you? Yeah? So that's much thicker than this one, which is just the thinnest piece of craft card. Yeah. You can see it's thin. Yeah, it's thin. But there you go. So if you do it on a piece of grey board, you're going to get a much more solid end piece. Or you can layer pieces of card, or you can do it on a piece of something like corrugated card. I mean, that's quite thick. It gives it a bit more stability, that's all. So there you go. That's how you do hot embossing, and those are the results you can get. Please subscribe and press the little bell if you wish to be notified of any future uploads I may manage to get round to making. I hope you've enjoyed this, and thank you very much. Goodbye.